wake up in the morning, I see nothing for miles and miles and miles. When I sleep in the evening, oh Lord, there she goes, only in dreams. She's only in dreams. Well, my love, we've been here before. Don't drag me through this again. We tried everything under the sun. Now I'm trying to wake up from this. I'm trying to make up for it. All we ever do is all we ever knew. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 You don't see why you would, there's no love to give. Well, what goes around comes around. I know sometimes you get so caught in a dream, but now it's time to wake up from this. It's time to make up for it. It's time to wake up from this. Yes, it's time to wake up from this. It's time to make up for it. All we ever do, all we ever do is all we ever knew. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la.
Hi, Jack. Thanks for coming.
Yes. Right. As you know, you're gonna retire this year, and I just want to take some time to interview you and just to get the school to know better. And if there's any questions you don't feel comfortable with, you can always feel free to skip it or come back. And let's start.
Okay, let's go for it.
As many of us don't know, you're from the East Coast. So my first question is, what brought you to the Pacific Northwest? And why not Cali or like Southern Texas?
Wow, that's a great question. Well, I grew up in New York, in Brooklyn, and started my career there. I taught mathematics in high school and in middle school, and then thought, I think I want to be a school leader. So I actually was, for 6 years, was an assistant principal in the Bronx, and at a school that had 5,000 kids and 8 floors with elevators and escalators. It was great. It was a lot of fun. Great people, great kids. Kids are great wherever you are. And I knew I wanted to continue to work with kids. Speaking of kids, my own children, I have 2 sons. They're all grown up and adults now and out of the house and on their own and doing great. But my kids were really little, not even yet in kindergarten, and we thought it would be great to raise them in an area that was green and an area that had a lot of mountains and rivers and a lot of fun places where they can have a great childhood, more so than all the concrete in New York, even though I love New York and part of me is still in New York. I love the Yankees and the Mariners. I love the New York Giants and the Seahawks. But when you grow up in New York, it kind of stays with you. But we wanted a greener place where the kids could have a great childhood and a little more free, open spaces. And so that's why we came to Washington a long time ago. And I was lucky to land a job pretty quickly in the Kent School District. And after my time in Kent, I started with being a high school principal and did a little stint at district office too, and it's just been wonderful.
Would you want to give us like a background? You're like, where you went to school, learned from middle school all the way until now?
Well, as I said, Jackie, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, which is a great place and really is sort of an iconic place now. When I grew up, it was just Brooklyn. But now they have an NBA team, they have the Barclays Center, they have all kinds of really great stuff happening. But from growing up in Brooklyn was great. It's just a great metropolis. It's a super diverse environment. It was great to grow up in a really diverse environment. Ever since I was really little, I had friends who were from every background and all different places in the world. We all ate differently, we all looked differently, but it was just a fantastic environment. One of the things that really attracted me to Juanita was the diversity of the school. I've always chosen to work in places which were really, really diverse, because that's where I think a lot of great things happen. I love the whole melting pot concept, and no matter how people look, no matter how tall or short they are, no matter what languages they speak, we all want the same thing out of life. We want to be successful, we want to be happy, we want to be positive, we want to have fun, and we want to work hard. And Juanita was just a great place to culminate my career, because all those things are present. I kind of skipped over your question. I went to middle school and high school in Brooklyn, New York. My high school was Brooklyn Technical High School, still is a great place. At that time, no longer, you had to test in to get there. It was a school that specialized in students who were really excelled in science and math. And at that time, it was before Title IX, because Mr. Moed graduated high school in 1970, and Title IX came in about 5-6 years after that. And at the time, a lot of schools around the country were either all girls or all boys. So at the time, the high school was an all boys high school. They also had all girls high schools for girls who were really excelled academically. And it was a great place. 6,000 boys in one high school. And it was an interesting environment. And I still am friends with a number of the kids I went to high school with, and through social media it's really easy to stay in touch. We have our own private Facebook page, and sometimes we have school reunions, which would be cool. I missed the real first big one they had. We had a 40th reunion in 2010, which I wasn't able to attend. But maybe the next one, if they have a 50th, I might go, and that's coming up in 2020. So hopefully they'll have it, and maybe I'll go. I went to college in Brooklyn, have my degree, my bachelor's degree is in mathematics with a minor in education. I was always kind of a math science guy and math science nerd at the time. And it's great to be an academic nerd, by the way. It's a great thing to be. And master's degree also in New York. And then my postmaster's work was in school administration. So I took a lot of workshops here and courses here, but most of my formal education was back east in New York City.
All right. As many younger folks that new to this graduating, or what's out there in this world, we're always trying to define people who are like successful. So could you give me your version of what it means to be successful? It could be just as being Mr. Moed successful, or being Principal Moed successful, or just being like a father figure to your sons, being a husband successful. Can you just define that?
I think the great thing about our United States culture is that everybody's allowed to define success in their own way. I could define it, and this is just one man's opinion. I'm hardly an expert on, I'm an expert on very few things, if anything at all. But I think everybody holds the measure of success in their own head and their own heart. I think everybody would define success as being happy. Right? There's that great story about John Lennon, which everybody knows, where when he was a very little kid in school, and the teacher asked him, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he said, I want to be happy. And the teacher said, you're not understanding my question correctly, or something like that. That's how I heard the story. But I think being happy is being successful. For me, It's being happy, being positive, setting your own goals and reaching them. Some people might have a goal of going to an elite college and getting into that college. Other people might find happiness through sports. Other people might find happiness through playing an instrument or making great music. The freedom we have in our great society and our great culture is that we get to choose for ourselves what success is. And for me, it was always to be part of a great family in my personal life, and I've really been able to achieve that. It's to be an influence on other people, and the students who are watching this can make a decision as whether I've done that. But I always was great at math, and I always loved working with kids, so I said I'm going to be a math teacher. For me, that was happy and successful, and that's what I always wanted to do. And after I taught math for 11, 12, 13 years, however long it was, I said, wow, I think I could still stay with kids, still do math once in a while, and maybe have a greater influence on kids by being a school leader. Because as an assistant principal or associate principal and principal, you do get to have a wider circle of influence. You know, as a teacher, you get to influence a lot of people every day. Most teachers teach 5 classes. There's approximately 30 kids in each class. That's a big difference. We all can think about teachers. I know for you as Mr. Bailey, was one of them who made a big difference in our lives. And unfortunately, we all could think of a teacher or two in elementary, middle school, or high school, hopefully not Juanita, who maybe didn't have a great influence on our lives. But we always love the people and remember the people really well who made a difference. It could just be a little thing they did or said that we just needed to hear at that perfect time and place. So as a principal, you really get to make a difference and get to know a lot of people. And I hope that, I'm closing in on my retirement, and I think this is why you're filming me. And I hope I made a difference to many, many people. You always hope you could have done more, and I wish I could have done more too. But the school has just been a great, great place, and it's been a wonderful place for me to do the last 11 years, of my professional career as principal.
Don't worry, you did well. I like this school.
Thank you, Jack. Okay.
Definitely. Can you give us like a quick of like what you did in high school and just kind of like, since you're a math nerd, like how else did you do other than just math?
Well, when you go to a school that has 6,000 boys, you got to be kind of tough and you got to compete. And being relatively small in stature, right? Because I was always one of the smallest guys in the class and in the school. It was very, very interesting. So I obviously couldn't have a football career being at this size.
Oh, no.
But academically, I had a lot of fun. I always loved learning, still love learning. I've had a few themes that have run through my life, and I took being a student all through my life to be the theme of my life. And so I always still love to read and listen, and it's amazing how much you can learn from listening to people. And I still love to read about math and science, and as I grew up, I love to read about literature and other things and poetry. I'm always expanding what I'm interested in, so the theme of my life was really to keep learning, and I hope to keep doing that in retirement.
You're literally in school for many centuries, and I was just wondering if you can go back and tell yourself, your kids or high school self, college self, one advice, what would it be?
Well, being able to look back and know how everything turned out, there's definitely times in my life where I didn't know if I was going to reach my goals. I really wanted to be a school principal, and I didn't know if that would be possible. I really wanted to make a difference with people. I didn't know if I'd be able to. But now that I'm looking back, I think the advice to myself would be the same advice I would give to anybody who's watching this. That great things can happen, and it's important to keep going. It's important to have faith in yourself, even if you're having doubts. We know people who are really confident, but nobody's confident all the time. Nobody's confident 24/7. Sometimes people put on a front that I can do anything, but sometimes our own self-talk might not be positive. So my advice would be, to the extent you can, always surround yourself with positive people. Always, throughout my life, I read a book many years ago which was a guiding light for me in my life. It was called Dream Team. And I have an autographed copy from the author, whose name I don't remember. And she said that everybody should have 5 or 6 people that they know that when they call them, they're going to get positive, hopeful, and motivating advice. And so from that book, I took that advice to heart. And even now in my life, I have 5 or 6 really close personal or professional friends. And whenever I need advice, I can call any of those 5 or 6 people, and I know they're going to be up, they're going to be positive, they're going to say, you can do it. And so we, all the 5 or 6 of us, we all perform that function for each other. So sometimes I get a call, they'll say, Gary, because I'm only called Mr. Moed here, and they'll say, Gary, hey, this is happening, what do you think? And they know from me they're just going to hear positive up, never a negative message. So having my own little dream team, some people go on and off the team, has really been positive. And I use that team, a couple of 3 times a year, and I use it too.
Well, for further advice, were there any regrets that you wish you would have done, like looking back? Like, were there anything that you thought like, oh man, I should have never done that?
I don't believe in looking back. I believe in, it's okay to look back retrospectively, because you can see the different phases and stages of your life and how things turned out. But looking back, there are many things at the time that I wished would have worked out differently. But when you look back and you pull the camera back a few feet and you look at it from a scale of decades, as opposed to this week, this day, this couple of days, everything kind of puzzle pieces together. And even the times I thought, the times in which I thought, oh, the right thing didn't happen. And when I look back, it seems that that was the right thing to happen, because I didn't get where I wanted to go immediately in that moment. I met some people, I had some conversations, I had different contacts, and somehow, some way, even though life can kind of have turns and twists, even those seemingly bad times were springboards for learning something, for meeting someone, for realizing how much more I really wanted the things I wanted, or sometimes it resulted in goal setting and a change of the direction. So it all worked out great. Maybe if I got those things I really wanted, I wouldn't be here at Moed now. So I don't know, it's hard to know. But even the bad times turned out to be good in a way. And I think it's good to have that kind of positive attitude. I was lucky to learn that from great mentors I had and great friends I've had along the way that keep positive, keep going. Everything doesn't happen all at once, but somehow, some way, I don't know how it works or why it works, but somehow at the right time, everything happens.
All right, enough of the boring interview questions. Let's get to some fun stuff.
Okay, so you've told me I've been boring, so okay.
Or like, no, I'm sorry, that's not what I meant. Okay. Am I graduating? Okay. What would be one of your most memorable memories as a principal?
Well, there's been a whole bunch, because I love being a principal. It's like the dream job. I couldn't think of a job than being a principal. And I couldn't think of a better place to be a principal than at our school. I love the Rebel Fam, and my best memory at Juanita is what happens every day. I walk through the hallways, I say good morning, I say hi. Sometimes if I'm talking with somebody, I can just smile or wave. And I just like being part of this community. That'll be my top memory, just being part of the community and part of the family, and trying to make everybody's day a little better to the extent I can, even if it's with just a wave or a smile or a piece of timely advice. Or I love the community we have at the school. That's a great memory that I'll take with me. I love the Friday morning greeting. That's a great memory. It's sort of everybody comes together up and positive. I love seeing people work hard and get into great colleges. That's such a happy thing for me, where people come and tell me where they're going to school. I just love that. And I know how hard people work. And it's great to see the hard work paying off. Those are some big picture memories I have, and small picture memories. And this faculty is such a great faculty, and the staff, from the secretaries to the custodians, are such great people. And behind the scenes, when the students aren't there, the students cannot have an idea of how closely everybody works together, and how all the adults really like to work with one another, and how we support and help each other. Not every staff and faculty is like that. I've worked in 5 different schools, I think 5 or 6 in my career, and sometimes staffs and faculties are very fractured. Sometimes they don't really work well together, but this team, and I call it, when I send my emails to the staff, it's like I say, good morning team. I call it the Juanita team. They really are a team, and people really work together, cooperate and collaborate together. It's pretty cool.
I'm really thankful that you can establish this working culture and just how all the teachers work together, and it works out. So, of course, since your dream was to become principal, so the question is, if you haven't become a principal, what would you be doing instead?
Wow. I would probably have been an attorney. When I got out of college, I was originally studying, my bachelor's degree was in mathematics, and I always enjoyed math a lot, and was a good problem solver. And I was actually studying to be an actuary. And if people know anything about that career, you have to pass a series of exams, and then you generally work in the financial planning, insurance, or in some corporate environment. And so I had passed the first exam, and I was studying for the second exam, and then the opportunity came to get a teaching position. So I had to make a decision. Do I want to continue studying to be an actuary, or do I want to take the offer of the teaching position? So I decided, going back to, I like math, I really would be great to work with kids. And so I decided to take the teaching career, and that the actuary career got filed. And I also was really thinking of going to law school. So I probably either would have been an actuary or an attorney. Didn't work out either way, and as I said before, I don't look back. It all worked out great. I've enjoyed my career. Very much looking forward to retiring. I've worked in education 42 years, so that's like a long time. And it's been great, and all good things must come to an end. I'm going to miss the school tremendously, but I'm really grateful. I'm going to think of it as being grateful for the time I had, and now it's time to do something else. I'm going to take all these great memories with me, and it's kind of bittersweet because I love Juanita, and it's hard to leave something you love. But it's time to retire and go on to a little bit of a different pace, a little bit of different kinds of things that I'm looking forward to doing with my family.
Yeah, family time is definitely very important.
Yeah.
Did you plan this like right before remodel? You're like, I'm gonna retire. Was this part of the plan, or it just happened that you're like, okay, I think it's time to?
Well, I really very nearly retired last year. I had
Oh.
even told some of the people who were very, very close to me in my life that I was going to retire last year in 2016. And then I thought and I thought and I thought, and I spent a lot of time with my family and my dream team. You know, the 5 or 6 people who I use when I need a little boost or a little good advice.
Yeah.
And I decided that if I stayed in another year, not only can I still be a principal for one more year, which I love to do, but I would be able to have an influence in the design of the school. And so I worked really hard this year. I delegated a lot of my regular tasks so that I can have the time to really work with the architects and the designers. Me and Mr. Hupperton did a lot of that work together, and I really got a chance to voice what teachers told me they really needed in the building, and what secretaries told me they really needed, what custodians told me they really needed. And I really enjoyed the process of working with the designers and architects in figuring out the aesthetics and the layout and the style of the building. A lot of it is sort of already baked into the cake because the school district has what they call ed specs, educational specifications, which fix how many square feet is a classroom and how wide are the hallways and how many bathrooms are there.
Yeah.
So certain things are fixed, but there's a lot of coloring between the fixed lines you can do, and we are certainly free within limits. And so I thought I was able to be a really good voice for students, staff, and parents as to the things they wanted to see in a dream Juanita High School. So I stayed one more year to have an influence in the design, and I feel really good about how I was able to represent the school community within the building design. Not just me, a lot of other people too got to represent that, but the voice of the principal is always listened to. And so I was able to, I feel really good about that. And I just know the timing is right to say goodbye with a smile and with a wave, and very, very positive.
Yeah, definitely the teachers and staff, they talk about like, oh man, this school is going to be great. You know, thanks for the principal, Mr. Moed, for advocating for them. And then, of course, final question, what everyone wants to know is, what's your retirement plan? Like, what would a day look like for you next September?
I don't really know the answer. I'm going to find out. And the good thing about retirement is you don't need like a plan. You don't need a calendar. You know, like you don't need an alarm clock. But Mr. Moed is planning on doing quite a bit of traveling with my lovely, wonderful wife, and hopefully with my kids too when they're not working. They work really hard, and so looking forward to doing some traveling. We have family all over the country and all over the world, so we have lots of places to visit. And so traveling will definitely be it. Keeping involved, I'll be doing something to help people. So eventually I'll probably go into some kind of consulting. I'd like to consult with leaders, maybe school leaders. I think that would be good. Or just leadership in general. I think I have a lot to offer to help leaders who are coming up, who find themselves mired in the difficulty of problem. I also want to do something with kids. Maybe I'll go back to just being a volunteer math tutor a little bit, or helping people in the library. I don't know, but some of what I'll do will be traveling, some will be helping kids, some will be consulting. I might work, but never again full-time. It'll just be part-time, helping out a little bit, and I'm going to figure it out as I go along. That's the joy of, I hope, and I think the joy of retirement is you get to figure it out as you go along.
It's okay, you're the same boat with Miss Hire and Mr. Brin.
That's right.
And hopefully the 2 janitors.
Yeah, we're retiring all together. But I'm happy to be in the class of 2017. It's a great class, and I'm happy to be going out with the class of 2017.
Yeah.
Probably take my picture by the numbers out there, just like everybody else will after graduation.
Thanks for your time, Mr. Moed.
Thank you, Jackie. Thanks for wanting to do this. Thanks.
Kind of glad, you know, I thought that you wanted to graduate with me, so.
Okay, that's a good, you know, if that makes you happy, just keep thinking about that. That's a good
Thank you,
idea.
Mr. Moed.
Take care, everybody.